And for more on Quebec's victory, we are joined by our Memorial Cup analysts, our good pals, Cheryl Pounder and Craig Button from Kamloops, British Columbia. Guys, the Remparts basically locked up their spot in the final, I don't know, a week ago. They basically had a week off, and even Patrick Waugh, after this game, said, I have to admit, I was a little nervous. I didn't know how it would come out. Craig, I think he didn't have to be that nervous, did he?
Yeah, but you're always going to be nervous. You know, you're working at your game plan all the way through all that rest, and you want to make sure that you prepare the team, but not over-prepare the team. And they came out. Jay, it was a dominant performance by the Quebec against a top-notch team in the Seattle Thunderbirds. But through 6 periods that they played one another in this tournament, the round-robin game, and then now this Memorial Cup final, Seattle never had a footing against the Quebec Remparts. It was thorough. It was dominant. It was complete.
And it was structured, right, Craig? We talked about that all tournament long, that Patrick Waugh had this team playing a detailed, structured game. And you add in skill, you add in will and grit, that is just a clinical performance, and it equals gold, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And, you know, back to Patrick Waugh very quickly, like, you know, I'm surprised he admitted being nervous, because that might be the very first time he ever talked about being nervous in a big game, because we know how confident Patrick Waugh has been in his playing career and coaching career.
You know what makes me nervous, Jay? Every time I have to get on this set and look at what he's wearing and then look at what I'm wearing, because I know that I'm up against a stud here.
I think you guys both look fantastic. First of all, I love your brass buttons, Cheryl. Craig, you got the orange flex in the shirt. Everything's working. Everything's working right here. Just as it's
tough to keep up with him.
I know, but it's working for you guys. It was working for James Malatesta all week. What a week for this kid, right? He turns 20. He wins a Memorial Cup. He wins a Memorial Cup MVP. He was the MVP of the Q playoffs. Cheryl, he just has been dominant, hasn't he?
Yeah, he really has. I mean, you look, it started in the playoffs. He had 5 game-winning goals. And then he comes into this tournament. He has a hattie, and then it continues on from there. But he was really thriving in all areas of the ice. As you mentioned, you know, Patrick Waugh having that detailed, structured game. Well, he was accountable, 200-foot accountable, right? He wasn't afraid to lay the body on, separate the puck. He could slow the game down when he had to. He was aware of what his surroundings were. But then he noticed you noticed his speed as well, and the chemistry that he had with Robidas. I mean, you have to talk about Robidas a little bit as well. Just made some brilliant plays to him. So that line was clinical as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. And James Malatesta wasn't sure about going to junior hockey, and he ended up being drafted. He was considering going to college. Patrick Waugh convinced him to come to Quebec. And then not only convincing a young player to come to Quebec and play junior, but he nurtured him along the way. You know, James has matured in so many different ways in his game, and then, you know, off the ice as well, where he is now a dominant player and he's able to impact the game in so many different ways. But that's really the story of junior hockey. 16-year-old boys and leaving at 20 years of age feeling a lot more confident about themselves as hockey players with a very bright future.
And you have to have that confidence in order for your game to really show, right? You have the freedom to play. So you have to be responsible defensively, but when you have that confidence and the belief from your group, starting with your coach, you go out there and you shine, and that's exactly what happened in this tournament.
Jay, you should have seen Cheryl Pounder up here on the set when James Malatesta said, defense wins championships.
Yes, I was like,
she came right out of her shoes.
Defense leads to offense, does it, Craig? Come on, former GM.
Well, listen, hey, we've been saying all these nice things about Patrick Waugh, but he is done coaching Quebec, and he's been out of the NHL since 2016. Craig, you know where I'm going with this. There are some coaching vacancies out there. I'm sure there'll be more down the road. Do you see Patrick Waugh back in the National Hockey League, back behind the bench sooner rather than later?
There's so much there. So, yes, if Patrick Waugh wants to return to the NHL and be a head coach, absolutely he'll get an opportunity. But I think there's more to say about Patrick Waugh, the coach. You know, we know what a fiery competitor he was as a player. Even when he finished playing, he was a fiery coach in his first stint with the Quebec Remparts. Came back to the Quebec Nordiques. He was fiery there. And, you know, just now I see a person, a coach behind the bench. He's no less fiery, but he's tempered it. He's a little more relaxed. He's no less detailed. He's no less expecting top performances. Jay, I watch this team play, massively impressed in every single area of the game. And I'm going to finish it with this. If a team is interested in winning a Stanley Cup, hire Patrick Waugh, because I think he can do exactly that.
Them's fighting words.
There it is. Guys, you are awesome. Jump on Hotels.com right now. The tournament's in Saginaw, Michigan next year. You're going to need rooms. Thanks for this, you two.